In watching.
We're live.
You're pointing.
Oh,
you can't point like you're
I
like,
pointed, man. I was like, that's a point. That's a signal.
Hello, and welcome to the 124th episode of DCP. Brought to you by my incapability of forming correct intros. This week
I want everybody to think back when Holtz returned from Bungie and he said, I really want to do the intro, guys. And we're all like, well, Teffy's been doing such a good job.
He dug his heels in.
I think we should revisit that.
Dug his heels in and said, no, my half-awake intros are what's happening. And you know,
look,
it's part of the show.
I had some real clout then. Okay, I had some real clout. You know, I was the ex-Bungie guy, and I was like, "Do you like Forsaken? Yeah, fucking let me do the intro."
He did say that. It's true.
Yeah, exact words. Also, this week we are joined by Professor Broman. Hello,
hi.
Sir.
Hey, Broman.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm a person.
You are a person.
That's
man.
good.
Are you sure?
It's good, man. Life's good. Things are good.
Nice.
For
I'm happy to be here.
For our audio listeners, that could also be T-Rex. You probably wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
If I close my eyes, I can
you
definitely
can't
get
hear my
confused.
lack of hair.
True. Yeah, the hair. Yeah, well, maybe sometimes if you do ASMR hair rub, you know.
I could try and rub my head against my microphone. Is that something you want on your podcast?
Yes.
It's
Nick,
is this a world
do your
exclusive?
magic.
There it is.
That's beautiful.
And that's the title.
That's the title. Listen to my bald
The sound
head.
of bald.
sound of bald. I like it.
That's something that's special.
That is special. That's a first. That's a first for the podcast. So thank you.
That is a first ever.
Yeah. Excellent.
Destiny Community Podcast ASMR edition.
Yes. Pope is in chat right now saying that we need to interview you. So
But we came up with a plan.
yeah, we came up with a plan, man.
We have a podcast plan.
Right?
Yeah.
We're
When
jumping into
Pope is
Destiny.
away, the podcasters will play.
Exactly.
I wrote down the plan. It's actually
See, we wrote it down. We have an actual plan.
Yeah.
all right. Well, wrench has been thrown into the plan. Hey, you guys, you want to start the interview without any type of segue? Because holy shit, if you let me try to do this, it's going to be.
I think for people who are unaware, there, you know, in case there's anybody unaware,
There's no one.
how did you get started in streaming, Probo? Jay, a quick synopsis, you know, just, you know, how
I got started in streaming. Started streaming January 2013. So it's been 6 years.
Nice.
I started streaming on Twitch because I got incredibly interested in the platform after I watched a charity marathon called Hurricane Sandy-thon. And I'd been exposed to like the GDQ events before. So I started streaming because I really liked retro games and I wanted to learn how to speedrun games. So when I started streaming, it was because no one else on the SDA forum for the Borderlands 2 speedruns was streaming. So I was like, oh, I'll do it. And then we can all hang out and try and get this run into Awesome Games Done Quick. So that's the super quick, truncated version.
That's amazing. And then Destiny happened, right?
Destiny happened 18 months later.
Yeah.
I was already full-time and doing pretty well with the speedrunning stuff and streaming Monster Hunter and like starting to do variety. And then Destiny came out and me and Gathalion and T-Rex and some other folks decided, oh, it'll be fun to try and get world first for Vault of Glass, which we did not do. We got 7th. But that got me, I accidentally did an MMO type game again. And then I started streaming Destiny and kept on that for a long time. And then Destiny 2 came out and everyone knows the story with that. And I started doing a lot more variety and I'm incredibly happy about it. Smile.
Good choice.
That's
Oh,
good.
well.
That's quite a ride right there.
Yeah.
You know, I got a question actually. So I don't think we talking about Vault of Glass and that first experience going in there, and then fast forward to Last Wish, and
sure,
like how has the comparison been now from streaming those and experiencing like that first raid content in D1 fast forward to what we have now in D2, how things, obviously the community has gotten like extremely intelligent about solving things really quick and all that. Yeah.
Sure, you want me to? You sure you want to answer this question?
I would love it.
What is it like streaming a raid like Last Wish as opposed to Vault of Glass?
Yeah.
Well, when it was Vault of Glass, everyone was nice. And when it was Last Wish, it was like, hey, these guys are shitting on you. They're fucking you up, bud. You're never gonna get anything. You're awful, dude. So and so already finished it.
Wow, charming.
Like that was. Yeah, I mean the community is not as kind to one another anymore during events like that, and it makes me sad. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
No, it's good not to.
In my opinion, and I've been saying this a lot lately, we can all do better.
Absolutely,
when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
So if you're in any stream during the raid race next time and you see that guy in chat, just take him off to the side and be like, hey, buddy, let's take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I wish that worked. I wish that worked with Twitch chat in general.
Yeah. Just
being like, hey, man,
I think that when Destiny, to take it on a serious note instead of just making jokes, when Destiny first came out, a lot of people who were from, MMO raiding guilds were like, I'm not streaming this. Because this is this is 4 years ago. I'm not streaming this. I don't want anyone to steal my strats. I don't want anyone to know any encounter. And if we get world first, they're going to find out when Bungie confirms, and I'll put my video up later. The attitude in general towards streaming, and I also think the financial incentive of being like, oh, if I stream and I get world first, I'm going to get partnered and I'm probably going to make 10 grand off of subs or something. Like, there's no prize pool for winning, but there's a very legitimate status boost and recognition, and you're going to get fucking paid if you get there first and you're not a douchebag, which the community has experienced some people being less than kind winning before. You're going to get paid. Like, people are going to sub to you, people are going to tip you, and all that other stuff. So I think that all of those things together have orchestrated a change where everyone wants to be streaming the raid race, because if you get world first live, it's a huge moment, and everyone likes money. So
fascinating.
It's a little cynical, but that's how I feel.
No, it's very accurate, though. It kind of highlights changes that have happened from Twitch in the past 5 years as well.
In gaming, yeah.
Right?
I mean, when Vault of Glass came out, Twitch, we're talking 4 years ago on Twitch, people were still coming to my channel every single day, why the F are you on Twitch? You should be making YouTube content. And it was when all the, it was before all the YouTubers were like, oh shit, I should stream on Twitch too. It was oh, Twitch. So what's that? Some kind of upstart. Yeah. Okay. I have one too. I have a Twitch. I get it. Lol. But now everybody does everything. Twitch is a legitimate platform. So that's also changed the dynamic as well.
For sure. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
sorry to be negative, guys, but
I think it's actually bad. I think it's really interesting hearing that perspective personally, because it's very real. The changes. I think ever since Amazon purchased Twitch, and it's been getting more and more public face, and then
there's only 5 of the original, I think it's 18 employees that are still at Twitch that founded the company.
Wow.
And the most recent guy that was let go, Chase, and I think he did PR and partner relations. He was the first partner manager guy anyone ever met on the platform. Usually the first face people talk to. So there's big changes have happened even since I've started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, company's changing.
Yep.
Speaking of,
it's really gone mainstream, right? It's you got Ninja
absolutely
commercials, and there's real celebrity to be found on Twitch now.
Yep.
It is interesting how people say, oh, I want to be used to be kids. They had ambitions. Now they just want to be YouTubers and streamers.
Well, that's ambition still.
It's very ambitious, actually.
I feel like an old man when I say, no, just don't do it, kids. You don't.
You can try.
No.
Try to get a career in acting instead. You'll have a better chance.
Anytime somebody talks to you about that, and they're like, my kid really wants to do what you're doing, please don't tell them about it. And I was like, that's the opposite of what you want to tell me. You want me to talk to your kid about everything I do to make this job happen. Yeah. And then they'll be like, that sounds like a lot of work, which is the W word. Kids hate the W word. So then they'll run away in the other direction.
There you go.
It's not just playing video games. You actually play much less video games because you're working in video game world.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of the more interesting things, because you're one of the first people that I think of when I think of like people who are streaming, but they got a lot of other stuff going on. I see that T-shirt that you're wearing.
That's intentional.
Intentional T. I like it.
Intentional T-shirt. You want to talk a little bit? You got a bunch of other side projects basically going on, namely King's Coast. Do you want to talk? Can you talk about those?
Sure. So, if you don't know me from streaming, there's an off chance that you know me from other stuff I do. So I'm the charity director and co-founder of Guardian Con, and I am one of the co-founders and I guess lead on marketing for King's Coast Coffee Company, which we founded a year and a half ago. So yeah.
Why coffee?
I love coffee. Coffee is absolutely, like, it's one of my favorite things. But we started the company because, me and my business partners we're all broadcasters, but we saw what lack of diversification did to us just on one platform. And when you think about how incredibly financially vulnerable you are, if the only income stream you have is Twitch, which at first, idealistically, everyone assumed would never rapidly change without communication like YouTube does. But
the YouTubers came to Twitch.
And now that's happening here. It's becoming more corporatized. So we decided, like, okay, well, we want to expand out from things. And the first venture that we built was Guardian Con, which is something that benefits St. Jude. And it's also a great moment that we're trying to build into a celebration of the good that gaming does. And then we have King's Coast Coffee Company, because we realized there was no good way to get coffee if you live in like any area that isn't like downtown or in an urban metropolitan, redeveloped area, metropolitan area. The closest coffee place that I could get good coffee at in my hometown of Tampa, or where I live, is 45 minutes away. So we sat down and like game planned, and we're like, how do we deliver fresh roasted coffee, which is the reason why people come to these places, to somebody's house, like remotely? Like, how do we handle this supply chain stuff? So we do fresh roasted coffee delivered straight to your door anywhere in the world, and we don't roast it until you order it. And that's what makes us different.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I promise you, if you try it, unless you have like a third wave coffee shop somewhere near your home, it will be the best coffee you've ever had.
I've had it.
After a year and a half of hearing that feedback, I'm not afraid to say it out loud anymore.
I've had it, and it's delicious. Yeah. And it's impressive that you guys roast and ship that fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have so many announcements this year that I cannot make. But there's a lot more coming for the company. We recently started partnering with some breweries out in Long Island and making like coffee stouts and IPAs with them to distribute locally. And obviously we hope to kind of grow that and help grow their brand. The brands of the companies that are willing to work with us, because that's how you win in business. You help everyone around you win. It's the same attitude that I had when if you know me and King Italian and T-Rex and all the people that are like, the godfathers of the Destiny directory on Twitch or whatever, that was our mentality, was, you raid the smaller and growing broadcasters because, you want everyone in the community to grow. And it works the same way in business.
Yeah.
So many people. So if you're out there and you're a streamer, or you're someone who's trying to be an entrepreneur, or you're trying to start a business, if you go into like every single meeting or every single time you see an opportunity and you think, how can I help that person? How does my product make sense in their life or make their life better or easier? It's going to be it's a much easier road than like showing up every time and being like, how much of my shit do you want to buy? I'm going to take you for every penny you've got.
Those aggressive strategies do work.
I mean, sure.
This is why you're running a successful business and I'm not.
We also had a lot of we had a huge advantage when we started King's Coast was because we had, the social reach of like all the founders together. Like we have like over 500,000 followers combined on Twitter, which is something that Fortune 500 company brands don't have.
Right.
So like we recognized all those points of opportunity and we leverage them as much as we can. But at the end of the day, like, when we do influencer deals or when we do sponsorship deals or someone wants to work with us, we don't do all the like use code whatever the fuck bullshit because that's inaccurate tracking. We don't do, which like I understand like other companies can do that. I have companies where I have a code, but like we want to do everything so it's as simple as possible for the person who we're working with to know they're getting paid for what they're selling.
Right.
It took us 6 months to roll out an affiliate program because we couldn't find something that we really liked and felt like fairly tracked everything.
Nice.
So what is it that you use for affiliates now? What did you end up finding that works well?
Yeah, so we run our whole website through something called Shopify. Shopify has they sort of have an affiliate link tracking thing that's built in. So
that's cool.
We generate a link for somebody, and that link's it puts a cookie in someone's browser. So there is a failure point, like if someone denies all cookies, but we haven't really encountered any sort of like major variance. So I'm pretty confident that it works because almost everyone has to have cookies anyway because they're delicious. So, so if you click on someone's link and whether it's an affiliate and you click through on Twitter or you click through on Twitch or wherever, it's going to put that cookie in your browser, and then any purchase made on our web store within 30 days of that original click gets credited to that person.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah. That was what I always wanted, and I fought really hard because all the, in the beginning, everyone was like, oh, we'll just use codes. And I was like, no, that's not accurate. And like, usually what happens with code systems are if you have a ton of influencers using a code, everyone's going to remember the biggest person on that list. So they're going to be like, oh, well, I can't remember. I know I heard about this from Broman, but I'm going to use code lyric because that's just what I remember right now. And that's what happens. It's the human brain. It's not perfect. This takes all the guesswork out and makes sure that everybody gets fairly compensated.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good. More places should do that because, if you're browsing Twitter and you just see something that you're interested in, you click on it. Maybe you don't buy it that day. And like you said, you can totally forget what that code was that you saw on Monday when you're trying to buy something on Saturday. So that's
exactly
really good.
Exactly.
It's really cool.
Should we talk about Destiny, guys?
Yeah, we can if you want.
There's some stuff going on.
There's a TWAB.
They're taking away trials forever and they're never bringing it back.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about trials first.
Let's talk about that.
Sensationalist.
Well,
that's what I read on Reddit.
Indefinitely on hold.
On hold indefinitely.
Yeah.
Was what they said. Yes. And then they said specifically it's not coming back in the next few seasons. So I don't know if it's necessarily canceled forever, but they don't currently have any plans of how
many
they want to do trials, and they haven't been talking about their plans.
A few is at least.
So they just confirmed another season.
Did they say a few seasons? Is that what the actual word was?
I don't know.
Was a few.
But if it was a few, then that's more than a couple.
Yeah, definitely more than a couple. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's two sides to it. It's, do you want them spending time on the game right now to bring back something that is a big question mark as to how it would perform, because it is 2019 now, it's not 2015. And dedicate resources to putting it into the Destiny 2 game world, or would you rather have those resources put towards Destiny 3 or whatever future that they're making for the game, and have that fleshed out for what they think is good for the 2020, 2021 gaming environment? It's a catch-22.
Well, if I was a player who bought Destiny because I love Trials, I'd want them to be playing Trials.
I was genuinely really sad when they were officially, because we had our suspicions about Trials and stuff, but when they officially came out and they said that, I was really sad, because not just as someone who makes content or streams it or whatever, but that was a thing that I really loved in Destiny. Like, that was a thing that I was excited about every time around, every weekend. And there's not many times that I was like, nah, I don't want to play it. Of course, I had its bad moments with the meta, but for the most part, I was always looking forward to it. So it made me super sad. I think that PvP in Destiny is in a pretty bad state. Like, comp's not good. You have to wait in a queue for like 20 minutes. That's not cool.
DDoSing too.
There's tons of DDoSing. No one's really playing it anymore. We don't get very frequent sandbox updates, so people get tired of it quickly and don't want to play it anymore. So that was kind of just like Bungie being, not putting the nail in the coffin for PvP in Destiny, but it definitely felt like all right, we're not focusing on PvP anymore.
It feels like if you're a PvE player, you have many different types of like pinnacle type activities at many different levels for the most part. But if you are a PvP player, the lack of the kind of pinnacle that Trials presented to you is it definitely weighs down now. Because I don't know, you miss. I feel like that's what I miss the most about PvP is you go into quick play now and you just do stuff. There's Bungie is very big on their 30 seconds of fun, and I feel like that's the only, like, quick play is the only place that you can find the 30 seconds of fun for PvP. It's not, there's nothing else. If I want to get my player versus player fix and somewhere else, it's not. We need it.
They really think that Trials doesn't have a place in the game with comp in the game. And they are two totally different things.
Yeah, that's too bad, honestly.
They're totally different. They have very different experiences. Comp is such a long investment over multiple days, for most people, multiple weeks, to actually get that thing that they want.
Single reward.
Right, single reward. Trials was a thing where, maybe you get lucky with your buds and you go to the lighthouse and get some cool stuff. But if you don't, there was bounties for you to do where you could get some stuff from that. And it was like a weekend little mini tournament. It was way more accessible for people who didn't PvP than comp is.
For me, I didn't play it every weekend, but when it came out or when it had refreshes, I was absolutely playing Trials. And I wanted to get all the stuff. I wanted to get the rewards, and also the excitement of something special being at the lighthouse when you pop that chest, which typically was a weapon for me, was extremely enticing. I wanted that gear. I wanted the solar Jewel of Osiris. Like, I wanted those things in my inventory. And then Destiny 2, they essentially took away a lot of that and made it cosmetic for that, like, the going flawless aspect of it, which I thought was a big bummer. And I honestly feel like the spark to want to just jump in and try to go flawless is a lot greater when you know that there could be loot that you can only get from that place. Because that's honestly the reason why people are grinding comp also. They want that weapon, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? With just a single weapon reward like this season, I have no interest in using grenade launchers or going for a grenade launcher, so I didn't play comp at all. It's very reliant on that one gun, and if that one gun isn't what people want, then the average person's not going to play it, which makes the numbers really low.
Exactly.
So it was disappointing for them to come out and say, Trials is on hold indefinitely, but then there also wasn't any word on making PvP better or what they're going to do to comp, maybe having, armor sets for comp, more challenges along the way.
We just straight up really haven't heard much of anything in regards to PvP.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say that when Bungie announced that Trials was returning in Destiny 2 with no fundamental changes to its systems, I pretty much knew it was doomed. Because, like, if you go back, you can go back and check the VOD. But, like, the thing that made Trials special in Destiny 1 was everything you all just described. And, like, at this point, I feel like even if they brought back 3v3 elimination Trials, it would be awesome for a weekend, and then everyone would go back to playing Apex or Fortnite or something else because the competitive environment is different. Mm-hmm. I think that Bungie needs to deliver an experience that was as unique and different as Trials was in Destiny 1 for the return of Trials in order for it to be impactful. Just as sort of Gambit reimagined what it was like in this PvP, PvE situation, I fundamentally believe that in order for the PvP community to get what they want, which is an endgame, a raid level equivalent of PvP endgame, mm-hmm. It can't just, like, the idea of a mini tournament is fantastic, but the implementation of how it was in Destiny 1, which people played for 3 years, and what it needs to be going forward to not feel like a snooze fest. I don't think that people want to play 3v3 elimination for 9 years of Destiny's life. I think that the PvP community deserves a new inventive iteration of what Trials is supposed to be, the same way that the PvE community gets new raids.
I would love that.
How do you feel about it if it takes Destiny 3 though for that to be imagined?
I mean, I think that sucks, but I also think that the way Trials started on Destiny 2 and the intentionality of designing the entire game mode and assets and a character and story showed that they thought, just from a game dev standpoint, like that's where they place their bet. So at this point, they have like a year and a half maybe to course correct. And by the time that happens, Destiny 3 is already out. So I don't have a lot of faith in anything coming until Destiny 3. And that's just me being honest. I hate saying it. I got accused a lot of saying, when I said I don't think Trials should come back in Destiny 2, I wasn't saying that because I hate PvP. I was saying it because I think that, like, instead of Trials, they should have had something different. Mm-hmm. Because everybody else got something different, but the PvP community didn't. So that's honestly how I feel. And I mean, if they could just flip a switch and make Trials come back and just, I guess, forge ahead with whatever plan they had, that might be better than just saying no. But at the end of the day, that's their call.
Sure. Yeah. And it's going to cost resources no matter what. Like if they take anything from D1, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to reposition. Yeah. They got to recreate stuff for that to make it work in the engine. So it's not like they can just copy paste, obviously.
And the amount of DDoSing, somebody who's experienced it at a very inopportune time and maliciously, it's gotten to the point where people will DDoS folks during raid races, and it's just that easy to do it.
Yeah,
like you can be a script kiddie with a home computer, and you can knock someone offline. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, that's an even higher level problem to, like, this competitive arena, is that now that it is so easy and so common to DDoS people, if they were to bring Trials back now, you wouldn't be able to fucking play it. Mm-hmm. Because you would have a greater likelihood of getting knocked offline inside of one of 7 matches than you would of winning all 7.
Yeah.
And I think that's super shitty, and that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Honestly, if I look within as just a player and completely take out the streamer side of the game mode, it's the problems with peer-to-peer are just too great, in my opinion, to make sense for them to bring it back with those resources. I think that they have to redefine their structure, their netcode. They have to redefine those things to prevent the stuff that's happening in 2019 right now, because in 2015 it was a lot less common. It happened, but it was a lot less common.
And on console.
Yeah, right? And on console, exactly. Yeah. It's a lot less
common. Doable, but harder.
Yeah, but now, like, I feel like it's just so easy for people to find out that info. And once they know and they want to be a dickhead about it, they're like, oh, let's go do this all the time. Let's see who we can kick offline and try to be extra devious about it. So they gotta prevent that stuff if they want to bring it.
Something has to be done. I mean, I loaded up Destiny on a stream and forgot to turn my VPN on. So I was like, guess I just won't go into Crucible at all, because it's happened to me from Quick Play. So it's like, if I'm just like, oh crap, forgot to turn on my VPN, guess we're not playing any of that today. We're just going to go do forages. Can't go PvP.
It's pretty lame, right?
It's so rampant. Mm-hmm. It's so rampant.
Yeah. They got to fix that, honestly. Like I would love to see. I'd love to see the 3v3. I'd love to see the trials. I'd love to see the loot hunt, because for me, it was exciting, both the gameplay, but also when you got to the lighthouse and saw whatever particular thing popped out of the chest. That was always highlights for me.
The stakes made it exciting. Right?
Exactly, like, the stakes made it exciting.
Have it. I really like the old format of having like one boon that like gave you a loss forgiveness token basically, and like you use that up in, let's say, your 6th game, so you got, it's a do or die to get to the lighthouse on your last game, and it was so exciting, and you're getting like an adrenaline rush because here we are, like, are we going to the lighthouse or are we going back empty-handed? It was really exciting stuff.
It was very exciting. It was fun to watch too.
It was really fun to watch. It was fun to play. I was watching streams before I would stream, and then watch streams again after I'm done streaming. It was just, they really nailed something special with Trials.
Yeah.
And like you said, Broman, like they if they're bringing it back, I do want them to bring it back in a state where people are that excited about it again.
Yeah.
Because 4v4 Trials was literally comp. It was comp with some different loot. And it didn't give you a different
extra animations at the beginning to show you what you could buy at the Eververse store.
Oh my god. that whole intro sequence. Well, I mean, and this is if you're looking to transition, that's one of the things that kills the experience in Anthem is the constant breaking up of shit because you're forced to stare at a loading screen for 15 minutes.
Right. Absolutely.
In between an encounter. And like that was the momentum of Trials. What you'd be like, fuck yeah, what a great win. Oh, cool.
See those emotes.
He's got a basket. That guy's got the silly dance.
There's some popcorn.
Oh, look, he's eating popcorn. And then like I always felt like I would just completely cool out before and so it felt like you're constantly revving the engine to sort of keep going because you take so long between matches.
Yeah. Now, if you're actually going for high level on comp, you're taking like what, 20, 30 minutes between matches?
Yeah.
Oof. I mean,
going for a not forgotten right now is whew.
That's just straight up like the complete polar opposite of fun.
Yeah.
Right?
They changed the matchmaking without thinking about how that's going to affect queue times.
It's a change that works very well for the mid tier, I guess, where just the more population is. But when you get into the people that are like, once they've stopped going for whatever the 2100 reward is, once they're past that, it's like from there on in, here be dragons. You don't go there.
Yeah, it's rough, unfortunately. So yeah, I think they have to fix some serious fundamental stuff for them to consider bringing back another PvP Pinnacle mode, and that unfortunately I don't think is going to happen in D2 because they'd have to restructure their netcode architecture to have dedicated servers work.
I think they might need to have a PvP summit, a PvP dedicated summit, or even not even a summit, just send out a survey to people, or like a really extensive survey. Like I would just love for Bungie to know what the community wants from something like Trials. Just get everyone's goals of what they would want would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yep,
would love that.
I do. I would not want to be the one to have to sort through the data of a survey sent out to everyone in the Destiny community.
I mean, like it doesn't have to be everybody. Like,
how's PvP?
I don't know. Broman did touch on something too. Is that a lot of the community that used to be hardcore Trials players have moved on to other games. The gaming world has moved on in a big way. Battle Royale in general. Battle Royale has really captured the imagination of people who like competitive shooters
and free to play.
The arena shooter is not. The arena shooter is not the powerhouse of gaming that it used to be. Yeah. Like everybody used to shoehorn an arena shooter in to whatever game they made after Halo came out and crushed it with multiplayer.
It's true.
Like there was some guy in an office like, you got to Halo the game.
4v4 with the sandbox right now.
Hit the Halo button, and I don't care if it doesn't belong. That was sort of like the default behavior of so many studios. And now we're starting to see that with Battle Royale games. but it's like that's why I said, like, you really do have to bring something new and fresh to the table, because like my brother said it on Twitter when they announced all the stuff about Trials, and he said, if you want a really fun squad based 3v3 elimination game type that you play, Apex is free to download right now. And like, he's not wrong.
No, he's totally right.
Yeah. He's not wrong. You know, it's a class-based 3v3 elimination tournament.
Yeah.
So
and it plays phenomenally.
And it plays great. It's super awesome. So that creates difficulty, right? So you can't just throw out another arena thing. You have to intentionally kind of reinvent the wheel. And one of my big concerns is like, I don't know if the arena shooter is it anymore. Like, I think that there's still a lot of values, but I think that people are very much like, if I'm going to if I want to play an arena shooter, I want to play Overwatch, or I'm going to play CSGO, or I'm going to play something else. I think Destiny maybe socially had its opportunity to prove itself because like it's Bungie and they made Halo. And I think that maybe it just didn't get there. And now maybe it won't ever. Like, I think that's an honest concern. So I don't know. Everybody jokes about a Destiny BR, but I would not be shocked if it happened.
I'm just fearful of a BR on peer-to-peer.
Yeah, they can't do peer-to-peer, that's for sure.
No,
right?
no, not happening either.
If they did like a Dark Zone type of thing in Destiny for going patrols and like the fantasy idea of an actual faction war, you know, where your faction.
That's what I want.
But like you go on any of these the patrol routes, and if you did see somebody from dead orbit, you're obviously going to kill them because they're scum. You know?
Yeah.
I would love something like that.
Light and Dark Guardians.
Yeah.
Which is being set up right now, like in an incredibly obvious way with the Last Word and all of these stories, and now the Thorns coming back into play, and Drifter doesn't know if he wants to be our friend anymore. It's very emotional.
It is. It's like a soap opera. Oh my god.
Yeah.
At least Jack still loves us.
Yeah.
True. We're married to him now. We got the boat.
You guys want to go through the TWAB a little bit here because it's meaty.
Oh boy,
it's a little meaty.
Is it meaty?
Yes.
I personally think it's meaty.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of specifics about the changes.
Yeah. There's a couple key points, and I'm like, nice. I don't know if it was a meaty, like, oh my god, season the Drifter.
It's not a 12-course meal, but what I'm saying is it's not the fucking dollar menu either.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Well, you probably can like totally have a 12-course meal. The dollar menu it'd probably be a lot cheaper. Anyway, we got this week at Bungie. We got they are doing a raid along, Scourge of the Past raid along, Tuesday, February 26th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. PST.
Cool. Those are always fun.
No, not next week.
Yeah, raid alongs are always awesome. So looking forward to that. Scourge of the Past is honestly one of my top raids, just because it hits that short. You can do it in such a short amount of time. So God, I hope they kind of go slow throughout that raid.
Yeah, when they used to do the ride-alongs in Destiny 1, they used to bring like the artists on board and like stop in an area and like really deep dive into like, here's like the original art that I made, and here's what inspired this ditch in the ground, and you know it was so detailed. But they never really do that with the raid-alongs. I wish they would just really just like stop and take their time with that kind of stuff.
I used to love that. I remember looking at they were looking at a bunch of buildings that were on the Cosmodrome, and they're like, oh well, I was looking at this church that's in Germany, and that was my inspiration for that. And finding out those behind the scenes things, I think, is really cool.
Absolutely.
You guys tell me quick polling of the podcast here. How do you guys like Gambit right now?
Third round sucks.
Okay.
Did you read of what's happening to the third round? Okay.
I was going to say, you just set me up so well here. They got Robbie Stevens. He was one of the senior designers on Gambit.
And my teammate.
Yes. You won with him.
Yes.
You carried him to victory. There's a bunch of changes coming to Gambit with Season of the Drifter. starting off, changed the third round of Gambit to a Primeval Rush sudden death. This will speed up Gambit matches overall and add a change of pace to the final round.
Excellent.
Like it.
Overhauled how we choose the invader spawn location, increase the number of invader spawns.
This is
points
really
for
well needed.
map. This should greatly reduce the chance of spawning very near or in direct line of sight of an enemy guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, needed.
So keep your head on a swivel even more so if you're having trouble right now against invaders. Implemented idle protection, which means that players that remain dormant for too long will not receive end of match rewards or infamy points. Very odd wording on that, I feel like. If idle protection,
they're not going to get rewards, but they're not going to get kicked.
Well, if they, I would hope it would remove them from queue at the end of the match because Gambit games don't refill,
honestly,
right?
Probably not going to.
Yeah.
Again, if they're not even collecting a moat or even doing 1 point of damage at any point in the match, I feel like they just need to get a hot boot. Just
get out of here.
Well, hopefully, if they're not receiving any end of match rewards, then there's no actual.
But not everybody reads the TWAB.
Do it.
Not everybody reads the TWAB. So you're gonna have people who are like, "Oh, I do this thing where I like go to work, I go to school. Sorry, I go to my freshman year of high school, and I leave my console on. I just collect rewards, and I get back and look at my loot."
Okay. The triumph. Okay, if you were trying to get guardian kills for your dredgen title, they've changed it so it can be progressed by killing any guardian using a super, not just invaders. So it makes attaining dredgen title a little bit less of a daunting task. Blockers are getting changed up.
It's gonna be nice seeing different enemies.
I'm excited about that.
The small blocker will be taken goblins with less health than the previous phalanx. I still think the phalanxes were like the best, just absolute best thing to bank.
But that's why they're changing it, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Medium blocker, taken captain with more health than the previous night. So they want you to go for the tier 2 basically now.
And think about this: captains are annoying because they're
they are annoying.
Yeah,
constantly
they blind you. Could you imagine like you spawn a captain and then you spawn a goblin and then it's like blocking it and it's just a big mess?
Oh, that would be a nightmare. Yeah. That's the play right there.
Large blocker, taken knight with more health than the previous ogre. Oh Lord.
So a knight I'm assuming that knight's gonna be spitting fire at you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Doing what knights
can they make him bigger to make him seem like he's
they need to be bigger.
That'd be cool.
Big chungus knight.
Taken knight.
That'd be terrifying.
I want that as a primeval.
So someone asked this on Reddit and they were worried that, oh God, taken goblins. You can make taken goblins. Like, what if you just make a bunch of them and they all immune each other?
Right.
That's a strat.
Yeah, it'd be terrible.
That seems like the strat.
Yeah. That sounds like the strat. Yeah. Hopefully, I think DMG responded with like, it shouldn't happen.
Really?
Shouldn't.
Yeah. It's like...
You know what? It's actually never supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So the fact that it happens means that it's probably
never supposed to happen. They're not supposed to shield another shielded?
No, they're not supposed to circle jerk each other.
Oh, it happens so often. I see it all the time. Every time you go into the Vex, the one with Asher Mirror.
Any of them with Taken and Goblins.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't. And hopefully this is one that they've got. I think that's the first thing I'm going to do in Gambit. Like get a 4-stack and we're just going to spawn Goblins and just see if they're just see what happens.
Hey, you want to spawn them all at the same time, so hopefully they shield each other. Yeah, exactly.
Oh God. Anyway, the changes arrive with season of the Drifter.
That's
and
March 6th.
Yep. 5th.
March 5th.
Yep. Yeah. Something like that. Also, Triple Infamy Weekend starting the 26th, going until the 5th.
How about that?
It's not really
like trickle down on that infamy, bud.
Yeah. That's the last.
If you've been holding off on that Destiny PvP experience at the moment, time to jump on in.
Look, I'm gonna go in with a 4-stack. Probably hate myself, and hopefully get my dredgen title by the end.
There
of
it is. Yeah.
Just
when we were talking about trials, like I honestly feel like Bungie was banking on Gambit being that invention that was going to push, like the invention of something that was a revolutionary combo that Trials was at the time. I feel like Gambit was that for them, and it hasn't been received that way.
I think Gambit is in a vacuum. It is an absolutely wonderful game mode.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like these few things that keep popping up that just keep it from being as fun as I think it can be. Because every time you guys played it at an event, like basically when exotic heavy weapons, machine guns, and Ikola Shoddy aren't in there, it's really cool. Like it is a really cool game mode, but as soon as those things enter the mix, it just gets kind of degenerate.
Yeah.
Well, they're nerfing shotguns somewhat.
Yes, in the next section here, we have some sandbox update.
Mm-hmm.
Sandbox designer Victor Anderson talking about linear fusion rifles.
Oh boy, this part was real funny.
Yeah. Especially 6 months after Forsaken.
Linear fusion rifle aim assist values will receive an adjustment to reduce effectiveness at a very long range. And then another little statement. While Queenbreaker has high aim assist values by default, we discovered an issue where it was not honoring aim assist values that applied to other linear fusion rifles of the same archetype.
You don't say.
This resulted in Queenbreaker having over double the intended aim assist.
Double the intended aim assist.
2x aim assist on. No wonder it killed everything.
Shoot the boot, get a headshot. That's weird.
Get him in the sights. Don't just in the sights. You're good. But linear fusion rifles will receive a 10% damage increase in PvE to compensate for the above changes.
Yeah, that's a big oof, man.
Yeah. That's a long time for people to not know.
Yeah, that's...
for someone to not be like, hey, Queenbreaker feels like it just doesn't miss. Let me take a look at what this aim assist is. Oh, it's broken.
This seems like such an odd one too for them to like come in and just reduce aim assist values too across the board on there.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. It's just.
But hey, linear fusions. I don't know if you have used them in PvE. They're really good, assuming you can hit crits. Yeah. It's going to be a little harder with aim assist values getting reduced. But yeah, good lord, another 10% damage on there. We're almost ready to start using them.
I wish they could switch the aim assist values for PvE and PvP, because pre-nerf of the sleeper simulant, because of Gambit, linear fusion rifles, legendary ones, felt fantastic in PvE, and then they took away that aim assist. Now it's like, well, it's just some strange things that happen, and I miss my old dead ender feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what'd be cool is if they made one that it exploded when it hit a target.
So like 1,000 voices?
Yeah, I guess I was trying to make an Anthem joke.
Hey, who likes shotguns?
They're useful.
No one.
No one. All right. Well, shit, I just won't bother going over these next changes then. Shotguns will receive... there's a bunch of stuff in here. Basically, in Season of Drifter, we're making a few changes to rapid fire shotguns and the full auto perk. We're doing this for a few reasons. One of them being that full auto perk feels far too important to shotguns in PvE. This perk effectively doubles the damage output of any given shotgun due to the rate of fire increases. Yep. While we believe it's important to have useful perks on your weapon, the efficiency of this was so impactful that rapid fire shotguns became the only shotgun worth considering for PvE. When the following changes released in Season of the Drifter, we hope you might be inspired to equip an aggressive shotgun, or maybe even take a slug shotgun.
That's been true since shotguns existed in Destiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
The faster firing, the more damage you do.
Yeah.
For PvE. Shotguns will receive a damage multiplier in PvE activities, effectively doubling their damage. Legend of Acreus is an exemption.
They should have just doubled Legend of Acreus.
They could be insane.
Just freaking go for it. Go for it. Go nuts.
The full auto rate of fire bonus for shotguns is now plus 10%, down from 100%.
That is going to feel different.
That's not as good.
that is going to feel that's going to feel alarmingly different, especially for the rapid fire frames. Like in addition, it no longer increases the shotgun pellet spread. Default rate of fire values have also shifted. Basically, everything is getting faster.
Oh,
that was loud.
I think that was Holtz because he didn't hear it.
What?
Yo, I like how Pat's like,
what happened?
And we're like,
what? What ice pick just went in my ear? None. I don't hear anything.
I heard nothing. So
it's definitely.
Nick, have fun editing that. In 58 minutes on my audio. Aggressives are speeding up.
So every other shotgun is actually getting buffed, except for the full auto rapid fire.
Essentially,
everything
that's getting a nerf. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, everything is getting sped up except rapid fire. 140 down from 200.
Mm-hmm.
They were previously natively 100, but that means nothing because full auto.
Right.
So if you used to like aggressives in PvP, you prepared to love aggressives in PvP.
Yeah. Also, reduced base damage for shotguns across the board to align with their new rates of fire per subclass archetype.
Reduce base damage across the board. So all of them got nerfed.
So, yes, so they are reducing the damage across the board, but also they're receiving a damage multiplier in PvE. How that all works out, no idea. Ammo reserves are also being reevaluated due to the increased efficiency. That sounds like something you say to someone before they get fired.
Oh, interesting, though. They're actually toning down the range of shotguns in PvP.
They are, yeah. The one-hit kill range of shotguns.
That's really interesting.
And also, sorry, I'm still shocked that like apparently I just assaulted everyone's ears. I'm sorry.
It was a loud sonic spike right into my eardrum. All right.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I'll recover after some therapy.
No, my week's ruined. So,
Broman, how do you feel about shotguns?
I mean, I love them and hate them at the same time. So
I feel you.
That is a
I'm not too terribly concerned about it.
I hope it doesn't feel like a nerf across the board. Because it sounds like it's a nerf. Like they're trying to balance. And when they balance, when Destiny, when Bungie goes for balance, I feel like a lot of times they make things feel like, well, you can use anything.
They make PvE more boring.
Yeah, you can use anything, so it's more boring. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
so speaking of exactly that, where you're making something more boring, we're gonna boring the shit out of the one-eyed mask.
All right.
Yeah, in various combat situations, one-eyed mask has been, one-eyed mask has been too effective. That's putting it lightly. And has become
nobody's mentioned it. Really,
a non-choice exotic for Titans in PvP environments. After implementing the following changes, we believe the exotic will still be potent if used well, but there will be more opportunities to counter it. The duration of the Mark of Vengeance has been reduced from 15 to 8 seconds. So that's like the little X that gets put on someone. It's not going to last forever now. The way players refill health after a successful kill has been changed. Before, it restored all of your health, and with Overshield refilling over time, basically it just instantaneously healed you from whatever health you are to full. Now the health refills over time along with the Overshield. This should give a leg up when encountering situations where multiple people are fighting one person with the one-eyed mask equipped.
That means you can shoot him and stop the health regen, right?
I fucking hope so.
Probably, right? Yeah.
I would assume so, yeah.
Vengeance will no longer trigger for players in Super. This was making Supers far too potent.
This was just like, oh, well, you got to kill, guys. He was nearly dead. Almost got him. Now he has an Overshield.
So, I'm interested in seeing how this plays out for sure. I definitely have my opinions on one-eyed mask still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of exotics baked. A bunch of exotics that have been nerfed from the hunter class baked into one exotic.
Go on.
Just saying, man. Like,
it was needed, right? It was about time that they do something about this.
Oh yeah, no, it needed to be nerfed. I'm basically in the process of just not playing PvP right now because I'm really tired of Titans with one-eyed mask just
skating,
being a pain to play again. Yeah,
because you like your router not on fire.
What if I told you they were taking away their ability to skate, their one-eyed mask, and their rapid-fire shotguns?
Wow.
No more skating, no more one-eyed mask, and no more firing that shot.
When you bring that up, this feels like a targeted nerf on Titans.
Titan nerf, right?
That's true.
Fascinating.
That's what it is.
Broman, how do you feel about that?
Warlocks, man.
About what?
Yeah, your Titan Brotherhood just getting like knocked down, man.
Used to it,
yeah.
I played Titan in Destiny 1. Who else did? No one? That's what I thought.
I played Titan, but not until I had all 3 hunters first.
You can't blink and shotgun, no. You can't win if you can't. You have to blink.
You can run forward with a Juggernaut shield. And
you got a blink shot. You got a blink, and then you got a shotgun. I'm sorry. I'm still traumatized.
There was that one time when Titans were good, right? With the shield, and it was only shotguns.
And everyone was like, "You Sunbreaker."
Oh yeah, that's
I'm like, you've been blinking behind me and blowing out the back of my skull for a year and a half. You don't see me crying.
I didn't equip Blink. Okay, I didn't like it.
Ugh, I love Blink. It was amazing.
I wore Bones.
Bones of AO for life. Okay, if anything, we're on the same level. We both hate people that blink.
Yeah, stupid nerds.
I blanked.
And then finally, the
PvE
biggest
and
piece of news,
yes,
from the TWAB: hunters can finally fully view capes in the inspect window.
That is a big deal.
That is
a nice change.
I could never see the hood.
Yeah,
which is like
5 years,
or the bottom of the cape.
Yeah,
it took 5 years.
I feel like I just have to say I don't hate anybody who blinks in shotguns. I've been traumatized, okay? And I hope you enjoyed
strongly dislike them.
All of your free trips to the lighthouse on my dead body. So I hope you liked them.
You're a very charitable individual. Thank you.
I gave the lighthouse wins. I brought so many people to the lighthouse over a bridge of my corpses.
Everyone likes to track the amount of trials carries that they did. You know, I got this many people. No, you're clearly the winner.
Yeah. This many sacrifices from Broman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was it for the TWAB, aside from some snarky stuff about DMG and DMG and Bread and Cosmo doing it first.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you guys get a chance to check out Anthem, everybody?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The early access PC version has been out for about a week now, right?
Coming up in a week.
Came out last Friday.
Yeah, a week. Yep.
The general release is this Friday.
Like
we got the
2 hours, an hour.
day one.
Yeah, it's soon tomorrow.
Yeah, in like 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. We got the day one patch, which improved a lot of things, especially loading screens on older PCs and some of the crashes and some of the bugs. It's been a rocky launch for Anthem, that's for sure. Some pretty rough reviews coming up on sites. I do wonder if it was wise to release the game to anybody, frankly, in the state it was in before that patch came out.
Well, this is the thing, right? They had a day one patch that didn't come out on the day one that they actually released it to paying customers.
Right. Yeah. The whole release is a debacle.
Wee bit weird.
It wasn't a good strategy.
I feel like,
and they knew it. That's why they released the day one patch earlier. For anyone who was on Origin Early Access got the patch yesterday. Like yesterday at 4 p.m. 6 p.m. Yeah, they knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a very weird live stream where they announced that they're going to let the patch go in about 4 hours.
Hey, if you're winning, you're winning.
Yes. So let's dig in. Let's dig into Anthem.
All right.
Let's start with story. What'd you guys think?
I like the story.
I like the story too. It broke up gameplay in a very odd way.
It did.
Sometimes I didn't want to be doing the story. I just wanted to be playing Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I did like the story overall. There were some weak points. The monitor was kind of I don't know. Like I have no idea what his motivations were. Like
just some evil guy,
just a bad guy,
just
right?
some evil
guy. Bad guy doing bad things. Just be a guy.
Yeah, but he's also a businessman. He's trying to pay people off, being like, "Listen, I'll make you an offer." He's like the Godfather in there. Yeah.
And like the voice acting was good overall. I did have a problem. Did anybody else choose the male voice actor?
No,
I did.
So the male voice actor, I'm pretty sure I've listened to audiobooks with this guy reading them. Because God damn, it sounded so familiar. And it just, the whole time I'm thinking, it sounds like he's reading me an audiobook.
He was also Noctis. Apparently.
Noctis from what? I'm not familiar with that.
Final Fantasy.
But he could be he's Noctis in Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense, actually. Yeah.
So if you played that game, then you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Anthem for the story, because there was a lot of people saying like it had no story, and I was like, what? There is definitely a story in there. Is it a BioWare level Mass Effect story? No. It's a story that's not good or bad, in my opinion. It's like a backdrop. It reminds me a lot of Destiny 1's story, but honestly, I think Destiny 1's launch vanilla story was worse because it was extremely vague in terms of all the things that were going on. This at least
it didn't make any
story
sense.
That you had to read that was in a book that was on a website that you didn't know about unless you went looking for it.
Exactly.
Well, the story that was in Destiny's game didn't actually make sense. Like it didn't. There was no linear thread. Like through it that like made any like real sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So at least there was like a conclusion and some character development, and the characters I thought were actually very interesting. And the voice acting was good, but I definitely agree. Like every time I went back, there was like a bunch of bubbles to talk to, people that wanted to have story discussion with me. And I'm like, I want to go blow stuff up, but I don't want to miss out on this stuff. And so I forced myself to talk to everybody, and it definitely broke up the gameplay when going through the story like that.
Yeah.
Totally. As far as my interaction with the story, I tried, because of all the loading screens, I ended up getting caught in a load screen while loading. So I just missed a big cinematic part of the game.
Yeah.
That's a bug.
There's a scene with the monitor, like the first time he's basically introduced.
Really?
And then there's like another thing that pops up, and you find someone's body, and I'm like, oh, how did she die? And then Watts is like, did you not see the cutscene? Like, no. There was a cutscene. I thought that was a loading screen. Okay. Yeah, and then I still haven't progressed past the point of the story in quotation marks, where you have to go story your way into some tombs.
The tomb mission made a lot of waves.
So okay. So the story, I generally enjoyed it. I think that mission where you have to do the tombs and do a bunch of random stuff, I think that did break up the flow of the story. Because you're like, oh, story, learn about the world, sweet, nice and cool. And then you're like, okay, now I have to take a break for 3 hours and go do this stuff where I'm not really learning any more story. So I do think that it was a weird place to put such a big break in the story. But I think that the voice acting is really good. I think that I've really enjoyed the voice acting, and the story and the final fight I enjoyed as well.
Final fight was a pain in the ass solo on hard.
I bet it was.
I can imagine.
Why would you do that to yourself?
This is what I do with all games. I always play it solo, and typically on the hardest, unless it's some insane difficulty like God of War, because I like the challenge. I also like to feel like I feel like I learned things from the combat doing that. But that last battle was a pain in the ass to do solo.
That dude's got like 2 billion health.
Yeah, I know.
He does.
To mention something else about the tombs is, it was a little weird that there's nothing in them.
Why did I have to go to a loading screen to get nothing?
Here's a room with like a tomb thing. I expected, something like maybe there's a dude in there that I fight after I get in. Or maybe there's. I was surprised. I didn't realize that I had that expectation, but because it took so long to get in those tombs, I did expect something.
So, like the quest itself, I would expect to see a quest like that in the game somewhere.
Yeah.
Where it was placed at the end of it, when they want to say, okay, you've played through the story, let me introduce you to this like free play activity. And, maybe there's like your first masterwork is your reward for completing this, right? But having it where it was and be the length it was. They are making changes to it. They made changes to it in the
already,
air quotes day one patch where you start making progress to that quest before you even get to that quest to hopefully speed players through that part.
That was going on before because
I was
already making progress when I got to that too. But like,
that doesn't help me.
The main thing that was going on is that you had to actually pop the chest. You had to be the one that held the button to pop the chest to have
that was weird.
Yeah, so they changed that to where if you're within range of the chest, it counts for everybody in your group. Which
I must be a greedy motherfucker because like I had like 10 of those things popped already.
That was definitely
just running for the loot.
I was wondering why mine was at 1 after we'd been playing for like 4 hours, and it was because Watts got every single chest.
I know where the loot is, man. Gotta go get the loot.
It's hilarious.
A loot sniffer.
Yeah, that quest in the middle of the story was definitely misplaced, or at least they should have shortened it, because like once you get into the tombs, it gives you some codex information, but I'm not going to go and read codex. Like
well, yeah, I felt like that would have been a perfect time for another cutscene. Learn about the people who died, maybe like some dialogue.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been really
cool. Were good in general.
I was really excited about the tombs actually, because it's like these legionnaires and these legendary fighters or whatever, and to learn more about them, I was super excited about the tomb part. And then I didn't actually end up seeing their legacy. I could read about it, but I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, so this is again correlates heavily to how D1 was set up, where there's all this amazing lore and amazing world that they built in D1, yet very little of it was actually in the game. At least in Anthem, there's a codex that you can go to and actually read the stuff and not have to go to a website. But still, it's like...
And it pops up on your screen when you find it, so you can actually read it when you find it.
Yeah, exactly. So at least they did that step of it. But it is very reminiscent of like, look at this awesome world that they built with all this lore, and the story is just kind of given like a fraction, and like forgetting about cool things like that, like having a cutscene about those heroes that these tombs are built around.
This game is going to be forever tied to Destiny for me because of how similar it feels. Not in the gameplay, but in the playing experience to playing Destiny 1. Because ultimately, I'm very much in love with playing Anthem. The act of flying around, shooting stuff, and getting loot is very cool and very good. I really like it. But the other stuff that surrounds it needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's really interesting, the correlations on there. And I agree as well. I'm like having a fantastic time playing it. I've got like 40, 50 hours into it, and I'm making endgame builds, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm very aware of its flaws and the issues and the technical issues. It's been huge technical issues with the game. Lots of people like can barely play it because of system setups on PC and all that. Hopefully consoles don't have those type of things, but it's a launch title, and it's probably going to have issues on console as well. But the times that I've been looting and shooting, I know that's a coined term that gets overused a lot, but it is, you shoot and you loot, you fire and acquire in the game, and you make builds. And I feel like a lot of people going into it,
stabby and grabby.
Yeah, stabby grabby. Exactly.
I'm definitely stabby grabby.
That whole thread this morning made me laugh.
Yeah, that was
hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I really do deeply apologize if any devs hate that term, but like
make a better term
over it,
right?
Like it's gonna be, that's what everyone's gonna call it. Like everyone's calls
what
it.
You're doing, right?
Like
shooting
everyone,
dudes and looting dudes.
like everybody calls me Broman, right? But if I was like, no, you call me Professor Broman, yeah, everyone would be like, whatever, Broman.
It's hilarious.
Like people are like everyone's gonna call it a looter shooter because that's just the simplest way to break down the core mechanics of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like
calling it a battle royale. There's nothing royal about it.
You're right, Holtz. Now I'm pissed.
God. All battle royales are called battle royales because of the movie that they're like based on, which is a bunch of kids on an island that have to kill each other to escape. Wholesome.
That's pretty good, actually.
Wow.
I've been enjoying it personally, but I'm also a fan of builds. I'm a fan of Diablo. If you ever made a build in Diablo to do endgame content, like that is what this scratches really well, along with also having shooting mechanics and abilities and flying around and Michael Bay explosions every second. which is fun.
Very Michael Bay.
It's
I'm currently enjoying it for sure. I'm enjoying like there's some guns that I think are giving me a headache because they're flashing in my face constantly. But I fear, or I feel like when I get to the point where I have the legendary gear and all that stuff, what am I actually gonna do with those builds that I've made? I'm waiting to see the stuff that I'm gonna do.
Right now it's a little late on actual end-game content. There's there's GMs, you know, there's like you can play the same content that's in there that you've already played at harder difficulty levels. So as you optimize your build, you'll kind of see your development get harder and harder.
I want like
I think for that stuff,
loot.
I think for that stuff, you're gonna have to. Oh, you want better stuff from the GM too.
The fact that so my assumption going into the game was, I'm going to play through the story, probably on normal or hard, depending on the quality of my team. And when I finish that, I'll grind hard for a little bit, and then I'll play Grandmaster. I'll get my Grandmaster 1 build, and it'll be awesome. And then finally, after I have that, I'll be able to go do Grandmaster 2 stuff, where there's new things that I haven't gotten yet. And then after I complete that, then I go do Grandmaster 3, where there's new things I haven't gotten yet. But as it stands right now, every single thing in the Grandmaster loot table is available at GM1. And once you're able to just absolutely trounce GM1, you're not incentivized to go further up the chain, because the speed at which you pound through activities once you're skilled up is so great that it doesn't make sense to do anything on other difficulties. And I think that's a huge misstep.
Well, actually, I think they adjusted that though in the patch, because like right now, strongholds are
one thing that they changed is that in strongholds, you can now get 1 masterwork guaranteed for killing a boss on GM1, and then 2 for 2 and 3 for 3.
Right.
I don't think that is enough.
Isn't the same for legendary contracts too?
Better.
And then legendary, and like there's some changes, but like I agree completely with Watts. Like it's just not enough. Like there needs to be a reason. Like why do I go do GM3 Heart of Rage?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do I get out of that? What do I get out of doing Grandmaster 3 free play? Like what do I get out of that that's different than doing it on Grandmaster 1? Like there needs to be, you know, Grandmaster level specific loot, and there needs to be incredibly unique loot at the end of those stronghold bosses to encourage people to engage with those activities, because without it, it's kind of like, why am I playing this?
Okay, so I want to pitch an alternate view on that.
Sure.
Why did we play Monster Hunter World?
Because I like big fucking swords.
Because there's always a bigger boss to kill.
But there's a cap to the bigger boss. And once you farmed the bigger bosses and you made the builds, why did you make the builds?
Well, I walked away after I killed the biggest bosses.
Okay.
And waited for them to release G rank or the pickle or the arc tempered, whatever the F's.
Right.
Because
my point on that is that a lot of people like to make the builds so they can apply that to the same content. It's like, why do we raid to get gear to then go do the raid again even better? You know what I mean?
There is in my opinion, there is just a difference in those loops. Like the diversity present inside the Monster Hunter universe, the diversity of approach that you can bring into a raid, which still isn't that great. But like, once you find one build that just absolutely dunks on, Grandmaster 1 for whatever your favorite javelin is, I don't even feel incentivized to make other builds. Like in Monster Hunter, after I was like, oh man, well, this has been fun. I wonder how this fight would feel with this. I'm using a hammer. I wonder what this feels like with dual blades. And the fight completely changes. And I think that there is not enough of that feeling in Anthem right now.
Well, I got to say, I'm definitely incentivized to try the other javelins, because at this point, when I go into
I've played all of them.
GM1, I'm thinking to myself, when I load in and I'm playing, especially if I'm playing with a match-made group that I don't know, I'm really hoping to see one of each javelin type, because I truly believe maybe the interceptor is a little weak on this, but I have seen an interceptor that can do 100k damage with a sniper rifle because of the link between they have an ability where they can reload after dodging 3 times, and then also up the damage of the explosion on the sniper rifle that has the explosive damage. So that they could do 100k damage with a sniper rifle, which I don't think is why they exist. But like, I want to see a ranger there to give the whole team a big damage buff. I want to see a Goliath there. I want to see everybody there because everybody has a role, and I like that about this a lot. So like, that's part of the diversity to me, is just the different javelins too, besides the build.
For me, like in Monster Hunter, like the difference, it wasn't always like, oh, there's builds that I can do. It was the accessibility of those builds. Like, basically all I had to do is make the new weapon, and you could, boom, you're basically 75% of the way there, and you can probably hodgepodge something else together. That's why I liked trying new stuff in Monster Hunter. It's just I could easily toss something else on. With Anthem, like, you got to go all the way through the story first. Changing up is a little bit.
You had to do that in Monster Hunter World, though. Go through the story first.
What, to make a new weapon?
No, to go through like an end game build.
Oh yeah, to make an end game build, but like halfway through or whenever, it was just easier to make a new weapon than it was in Anthem, which is just like gated off at certain levels unless you had the bug and unlocked all of them.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. A different kit of a character. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my one other concern would be like the Tempest Strike, for example, right? The white Tempest Strike that I get is the same as the purple Tempest Strike that I get. It just has some more stats on it.
Yeah.
So there's very little loot in the game besides like the legendary stuff and all that actually changes the way that you play with a gun or.
I think they should have skipped the epic altogether and had you start earning Masterworks by the end of the campaign to introduce players to that.
Yeah.
Because once you enter the Masterworks system, it does start to introduce you into, more unique weapons. They're still the same weapon, but the stats and the bonuses on them are so different than what you've been playing with through the the common, uncommon, rare, epic. Like all four of those levels feel like exactly the same gun until you get into the Masterworks set. So if they had started introducing Masterworks in the actual campaign, I think that would have been wise.
Yeah, that's when the fun loot comes in, right?
You can get six Masterworks in hard though. That can drop, I think, after level 20. So there is a chance.
Yeah, I didn't get any though in the campaign. I don't know. Maybe some people have. I didn't get any in the campaign.
Yeah, I got some before. I think. Well, did I hit it before I killed? Oh no, I was level 17. My bad. Before I hit 30 though, I got a couple of Masterworks on there. Yeah.
And that's when the fun loot happens, right? Because when you're playing, you're like, oh, well, this blue thing is like the same as this green thing.
Yeah.
I really hope I could have some of that, like
15 extra damage.
super fun loot that I'm seeing all these people have all this fun loot. I wish I could have just a tiny taste of that. I'm just like,
very little of that is in the beginning. I do agree in that. Yeah.
It feels like you have to get through the beginning part of the game to experience any of the exciting loot drops. Because when you're playing Destiny, right? You are through the early game, you're excited for every blue that drops because it's going to be an increase to your level. You're going to be more powerful. Game's going to be a little bit easier for you. And then you start hunting for perfect rolls and exotics and stuff like that. Whereas in Anthem, I'm waiting to get to that point where I get loot that I'm excited when it drops.
Yeah, I kind of fell into a hole of like always using the same abilities, even though I was getting other abilities, but I was really effective with like freezing and then casting in a lightning bolt. So I was like, why was I going to change it? Because it was so good in those early stages. So I didn't experiment with the other stuff. But then once I started getting Masterworks and legendaries of other stuff, I started experimenting with builds. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing to be able to switch it up with this stuff.
Absolutely. That's the fun part of Anthem.
Like the builds are really exciting.
They are. Yeah.
I think, like when I start looking at, okay, if I equip this, then I get more armor. Plus, all of a sudden, my primary weapon is doing, like 100% more damage. Oh my God. And then, this primary weapon does, every time I fire it, it's got a 33% chance of doing this like huge electrical burst of damage, which means that it's really good against shields. That means that now I can focus like my special abilities on taking down health instead of shields. Like that stuff is really cool.
Yeah. The build complexity, in my opinion, is incredible in Anthem. And I partially agree and I disagree at the same time of the things that you can do with those builds right now, because I think it is very similar to, say, Monster Hunter World, where I feel like you can put in a solid 100, maybe 200 hours if you make builds. If you're not interested in making builds, which is the reason to play endgame in these games, then it's like 30 hours of content, because you hit level 30 and that's it. You're not interested in really like making builds for the different characters. And that's fair. Not everybody plays Diablo. Not everybody plays Monster Hunter World. Not everybody's interested in theory crafting a build that's going to make you hit some insane number ultimately at some point. But for the people who are interested in that, it's extremely satisfying.
I've stayed kind of quiet because I feel like I don't know, just I put in 8 hours day one and was not having it by the end of the day, which funny enough, that's basically exactly what happened with Monster Hunter World. This one feels different to me though. Just like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff about the game that I have a lot of issues with, and I think that no matter the amount of like fixes that they can do to the game, like with the day one patch, they are addressing like load times. Like that is one of my big concerns, but I don't think a patch could really fixed how I'm not engaged with the story and don't really have any interest in the characters.
No, if you don't like the gameplay, then the game's not for you. Right?
Yeah, it's not for you.
The overall gameplay, I just think is not for me. When I see enemies that just stand there and tank all your damage, and then
that's exactly how I felt about the Division. I went into the Division hugely excited about it, didn't like the gameplay, bounced off. I liked everything about the Division except for playing it.
Yeah. You tell me about this game on paper. Great. I love it's so odd. Like Apex Legends is a BR. I fucking hate BRs. But dear God, I love Apex Legends. Looter shooters. Like a game where you go get loot, make builds, grind. I love those games. Holy God, I cannot stand Anthem. It's this,
is that because we might have been saying that you were going to love it at some point, Holtz? Is this really what's going on? You've dug your heels in.
I still don't love it, and I feel like I am not alone in many of the things that I have said.
The game absolutely has problems, no doubt about it. Nobody's
some of the problems too, like. They don't seem to have learned from like the last 4 years of these types of games, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going into Division 2. We've already got Destiny 2. We've had 2 Borderlands games. Warframe has been out there for a long time. There's some of these lessons have already been learned. Like when I first realized that you don't get your loot until you go back to Fort Tarsis, and you can't change your equipment out in the field. I was like, well, we already knew that was a bad idea. We've learned this lesson before.
Right.
Right?
It's a looter shooter stabby, whatever the thing
stabby
grabby fire acquire game that I can't get It's the problem that Destiny 2 had. Every single piece of loot that you got, aside from like the raid, was acquired from the Cryptarch or putting tokens into the system. There was you didn't have that moment happen. Now it's the exact same, or in Anthem, it's the exact same thing where the only time you're seeing the new loot is on like the end screen. Yeah, you get to pick up loot. You have no idea what the hell you got though. You don't know which epic it was where you got it. You just know that it's on the end screen and they unceremoniously just show up there with the loot acquired at the end.
Yeah, I'd really like to see them change that.
Yeah,
I'd really like to see it.
I feel like that issue of you not being able to equip stuff is like more of a technical issue, which is why like you have to go back to the base. And I saw people say, well, if you let people equip stuff, they would just leave once they get what they want. It's like, well, the only reason people would leave when they get the thing that they want is because of the technical limitation of being able to. Okay, anyway, I just I've lost my train of thought. You guys go continue conversation about whatever. I'm tired as fuck.
So there's things that are going to change in the game coming in March, which is exciting. So
there was one that I'm really excited about, actually.
What's that?
Is the vanity chest coming to Stronghold. So the way that they're going to do that is you basically do a daily challenge and you get a key. And then you can take that key, go to the end of the Stronghold. You have to actually kill the boss, guys. And then you can open one of those chests and get a vanity item. They said there's going to be around 100 vanity items for you to get. But also something really cool is, say that 4 of us go in together and we all have a key. We all get to open up a vanity chest and we get that loot from each other.
Awesome.
So this is going to be specific loot from the Stronghold, which is what I want more of, right? I want a reason to go and do that hard mode Stronghold because I want to get cool, unique stuff from it.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And that's absolutely some of the stuff they need to add to the game, which is coming already. But I also, I want to point out that I think as a platform, from what they've begun with, I think this is a great starting point for a live service game. What they've launched with that stuff, and then the ability to add things like, let's say they make a GM4 and then they expand the loot pool for GM4 with that. Like, from what I've heard from the devs and how they've talked about how they can work with the engine, those are the things that they're thinking. They can easily add more GMs. They can expand the game with the way they have access to the engine. Like, there was an issue with those drop tables with the chests in free play, and they were able to change that server side really quick because of the way that the architecture is in the game. So I think as a platform, great starting point. If they make awesome changes and are quick with it, and if March really pays out for the type of changes or the type of things that they're adding to the game, I think the future for the game is very bright. Besides of all the negativity that's been on YouTube and everything.
Bro, man, I saw you playing a lot of Anthem.
Yeah, I've got about 50 hours into it.
That's a lot. What's your overall feeling of it?
I think that it's a really, really fun game that needed more dev time. I feel like it's going to be in a really interesting place in like 6 months or a year. But at the same time, the gaming community's had that song and dance happen a lot. The faith isn't necessarily there for everyone to, go on that ride again. I think that, when I play the demo, I absolutely adore the gameplay. Like, it's like the ultimate like Mass Effect 3 combo system, power fantasy, open world, fly around and blow shit up experience I kind of always wanted. The problem is that I feel like that the end game, other than acquiring loot, feels directionless. And that's my core issue, is that I love everything else about it. I even loved its story and the weird characters and like the world that it's in. I'm super intrigued by all of that, but the end game feels like it doesn't like it's not pointing me anywhere. Like, with Borderlands 2, like it's pointing you towards like, okay, like now it's True Vault Hunter mode. Now it's OP1 and OP3 and whatever. And in Warframe, it's like get ready for sorties and high round stuff. In Destiny, it's get ready for raids or get ready for trials. And in Anthem, I don't feel like there's a get ready for, which sucks because I want to be getting ready for something. But I feel like after you have a full set of masterwork gear with moderately powerful perks that you want on, let's say you're really generous and you want to do that on every single one of your javelins. Some of the guys I play with already have that done. I don't have the best luck. So like we'll take my garbage luck in 50 hours of time and say that it takes you 200 hours to make that happen for all 4 of your javelins. Then what do you do? And that's
then you wait for DLC.
Yeah.
Then you wait for DLC. Exactly. Yep. And you know what? That's an absolutely, because the DLC is free, that's an absolutely fine way to approach things. I think that unfortunately, and this is what frustrates me so much, is that this type of game is something that every developer, I feel like, has taken a stab at and nobody has nailed it. Like and I think that everyone is just getting their hopes up again and again. Like, well, since like I would say Borderlands 2 nailed it.
I was getting ready to say like Borderlands 2.
Universally adored and lauded as like an absolutely perfect experience for this genre. And so since that game has come out, everyone has been waiting for the evolution of that. I want Borderlands 2, but in a massively online world. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what Borderlands 3 is going to be. Like, maybe that's where they're shooting. And they definitely hinted at that at the end of Borderlands 2, where they're like, oh, look at all these other vaults and stuff. And like, maybe we all just had to fucking wait. But I think that everyone wants to see that concept iterated over different games and different genres and different storytelling types, and in third person and in first person and all this other stuff. And I think everyone had their hopes up for Anthem to kind of deliver on that, because it seems like it has it's like a deconstructed soup. Like, it's all there. But you just like, I really wish that it was in the pot and cooked and finished before we got our first crack at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This feels like it came in really hot, like real hot.
With all the bugs. Good Lord. Yeah. They obviously had to get it out.
I mean, like, if you watch, like, I have my like story playthrough on YouTube, and I was experiencing like the worst loading bugs in the history of ever. It was fucking wretched. But I went through it because I really, really enjoyed the experience of playing it for the 20 minutes out of every hour I got to play. Now, thankfully, that's been fixed, but it still doesn't change the fact that I really do adore the game, but the fact that I don't feel like I have a direction bothers me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest concern moving forward is the fact that EA is publishing this game, and like, I just don't know that they're going to be willing to, do something like what Ubisoft does. And like, maybe we didn't have the best launch, but we're going to continue to support this game. We're going to make it great over time, like they did with The Division, with For Honor, with so many other games. There's so many examples of like, sticking with a game, really improving it, giving it that Taken King moment. I just, like, is EA going to allow that to happen, or are they going to pull the plug if the thing doesn't sell like gangbusters right off the gate?
Yeah, there's a big mystery, honestly.
That's something. I mean, that's, unfortunately, with the climate currently among developers and studios, with all of these layoffs, people are already saying, like, what if this studio gets shut down? And some people are even saying we should expect it. And I think that we all, as people who love games, should really just love or hate the game. I feel like this is a really unique situation, because this is a publisher who has two big franchises out right now, one of which is a free-to-play BR that is crushing it. Like, it has moved their stock price 15%. It is crushing it. And then alongside, and that is a free-to-play BR experience that is easy to monetize and easy to understand from a consumer standpoint, and from an investor standpoint, which is becoming more important as these studios get attention and a lot more money coming in from investors. They're launching that against this. And if this ends up being the thing that shuts studio, like if this studio gets shut down, the message that's going to send to people who are pumping money into these publishers and letting everyone who works there keep their jobs and return on investment for all the stock options and stuff like that is studios that make big, like studios that take big, scary risks on projects are not worth it. It's too risky. Let's invest in the people that are just trying to get as much money as they can out of these like lower level experiences. Mm-hmm. Not to say that Apex is like a lower level experience. It came out, it was perfect. There was no beta. Like, it's a fantastic game. Like, the reason it's successful is because the game is great. Mm-hmm. But we know that because we play a lot of games. The average investor, who is important to consider now that everyone's finally realizing that the $130 billion business of gaming is worth $130 billion and not just something your kid's playing in a basement. it starts to matter which company is providing great returns for the people who hold their stock options. When your stock tanks, you lay off 8% of your employees to try and recover it. That is the reason why Blizzard did that. And it sucks shit. And I don't want to see pain inflicted on our industry that we are also passionate about, and developers and families displaced, and, you know, stagnation and creativity because everyone's just chasing profits. So, like, I really sincerely hope that EA sees Anthem through to a point where everyone wants to come back and play it. Because if they don't, and it gets Andromeda'd, I think that it's a really bad market signal for the gaming industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Because if this is the year that everyone lays everyone off, it's going to lead every single studio to be more conservative in the types of things they develop, and they're going to want to develop things that are going to go to market and are more or less guaranteed to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I guess if I was developing like a BR game right now, I would be just in shambles after the launch of like Apex. I'm sorry, this is just in regards to like game development shit.
No, I mean, I think
the right line to take if we're still talking about Anthem, but like in that same vein, man, like holy shit, if I was at a studio that was like, oh yeah, you know, we think we got next great thing here, and then Apex comes out and you're like, oh, fuck.
Developing a VR game right now sounds terrible. I guess, I mean, yeah, sure. But at the same time, like, I think people discount because we have this rallying mentality behind who's ever winning, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, this game wins, this game's fucking dead. Like, you know, like
Fortnite dead, guys.
Listen, okay. the 10th employee at Google is getting paid more than fucking everybody sitting in on this podcast, and probably everyone that's listening to this. You know, you can develop the 10th most successful BR or the 15th most successful BR and still pull a great return. You don't have to always make the next Fortnite or Anthem in order to build things that are successful.
Yeah.
My worry is that everyone's going to start gunning for that shit because that is a known reality. Oh, I can take the number 5 slot, and then, you know, my company is going to do well over the next year. As opposed to like, let's invest into this new IP and new idea, which is a total crapshoot and could tank out.
Mm-hmm. I guess I hear what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of that. But at the same time, there is this void right now in the looter shooter genre, and
sure,
I think Anthem adds a lot of uniqueness to that void. And
sure,
there's a lot of hate going on, and a lot of that same sentiment was going on when Destiny 1 first launched. A lot of the same, like, oh my God, what garbage just landed on my hard drive. I can actually smell it down the street.
It did feel amazing. Like, Destiny's guns have always felt amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think Anthem's guns feel amazing.
But I guess what I'm saying is when Destiny dropped, there was a void. And there was this thing of like, you know, Borderlands had been out already. And it was missing. And then Anthem is adding this aspect of flying and becoming Iron Man with like Diablo style loot, but it's not point and click Diablo style loot. It's a third person shooter, you know. And then the complement to that is Division coming out. So, but Division is not sci-fi. You know, you're not blowing stuff up with crazy magic. Like it fills an aspect that doesn't exist right now. So I feel like it can carve out this market. And what I'm saying is that I hope that EA sees enough of that so they don't feel like, it's a failed genre and have to pull the plug or something like that. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. My question is, you know, whenever Big Daddy Gearbox decides to drop Borderlands 3, is it going to just end the conversation about this? Because everybody's taking a shot. I mean, it's obviously not easy to do because Blizzard had Project Titan that was supposed to be an FPS MMO loot-based game. and they dumpstered it and made Overwatch instead, most likely because it was too difficult. So I guess it becomes like, is it possible that when somebody finally hits pay dirt with a game like this and they really land, like they really stick the landing, is it going to be like a Fortnite thing where everyone floods to it because they're like, oh my God, finally? Because it's sort of like a reverse situation of what's happening with BRs, right? There was only a few BRs out. Not a lot of people had kind of made them. And then Fortnite came out, it blew up, and now everyone's making a BR. Whereas over the past 6 years, we've seen every studio take a shot at making a loot and shooting game, whether it's FPS or third person or whatever. And nobody has particularly nailed it yet.
It's a much more expensive thing to
the way more expensive investment too. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, all the assets and all that. Like it's
a lot easier to dev out a superb map and nail some shooting mechanics and put together, you know, some great characters and abilities, as opposed to crafting a story, crafting tiers of loot, crafting different varieties of stuff. Like, I mean, there's fundamentally less moving parts. So I don't know. Like, I hate being so uncertain. I remember when Destiny came out, I was really confident that like they're going to nail this. And maybe it's the cynic in me from getting punched in the face over like things being not quite perfect over and over and over again. But I'm worried that I think Anthem is going to find an incredibly strong base of support for the people who play the game and they're like, this is absolutely my shit. I guess I'm speaking from the point of like, I really hope that Anthem was going to be the delivery on the concept that I have been wanting to play for the past, 6 years.
Yeah, I feel you.
For me, it in a way it is because they focus so much on PvE and left out the PvP. It allows them to do just batshit crazy stuff with weapons and builds that will never be possible in Destiny. And like, to me, that's really exciting. Like the stuff that I'm only experimenting with stuff because I got like these half-formed builds because I don't have all the masterworks yet. But as I get all the masterworks and as they start to do DLCs, they see what works and doesn't work, and they experiment more. Like, I'm really looking forward to this journey. Like, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, same. I guess that's how I'm approaching it. It's just like with Monster Hunter World for me. It's like it was great to jump in. It was great to make builds. And if that's the time that I had with it, then cool. I had a great ride. But if they do deliver on content to add into the game, like we got these cataclysms coming and they got things that are slated, and if they can do that successfully and have these cosmetics and stuff to chase after, like the problems that you have right now, Broman, with the end game, if they can at least answer part of that relatively soon, then it's going to be good. But if they pull a Bungie and take a year to fix some of that stuff, then no.
If they manage to deliver on a lot of this, sorry to interrupt, but if they manage to deliver on all this stuff inside of 2 weeks or a month, they still have control over the narrative, right? But if they start taking too long, they have a very small window before Division comes out. And everyone goes, well, and moves on.
That's true.
Because Division 2 is Division 1.8.
Yeah. At launch.
Kind of repackaged, and there's new stuff, but it's that at launch. And if it's not plagued by all the problems Division 1 had when it launches, it's going to capture everyone who was willing to give Division 1 blew the fuck up on Twitch until the hacking became so rampant that no one could play it anymore. And if the Division 2 blows up the same way and captures that audience and doesn't let it go, it changes the narrative for them. And then they have to start marketing against that instead of owning their landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a meaty conversation.
That was meaty.
Womp womp. Now I'm sad.
Honestly, see, the thing is, I'm not sad about it because, like, I think it's great that it exists. Like, it sucks that the launch was rocky, but like the actual gameplay is fun. And
Fair.
Like as a gamer, I'm really happy to play those types of games. You know?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a
choices.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not a womp womp for me. Like I'm
gonna jump into Division 2.
Yep.
Right. And then when Anthem's DLC comes out, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
actually before Division 2 comes out, I'm gonna be playing Season of the Drifter. Like, so now I've got multiple of these games in my life. So when one of them's having a slow point,
exactly,
I just bounce right over to the one that's hot right now.
And then just imagine, what if Borderlands 3 came out in the fall? What if?
Been saying that for 5 years.
And then Half-Life 3 comes out.
Oh my god! And then the new Tool album.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I like that's the other perspective is like maybe we're just all of us who like playing games like this are just going to have a smorgasbord of rotational content to enjoy, and that would be fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Then all those games get to exist and be popular because everyone's kind of just, I'm hopping in here. Awesome. This is great. Gotta hop in here. This is great.
Yep.
Are we just conditioned to feel like this after playing Destiny so goddamn much? Dealing with this.
I think there's a general fatigue amongst gaming consumers right now. I feel like every studio in the past 2 years, minus Nintendo, because they're Nintendo, has fucked up real bad and jammed their own foot in their mouth, or they've had a don't you all have phones moment. Or like everyone has had some legitimately big failures. And so there isn't really like a company where everyone's like, these people will do it the right way. Everyone's
Naughty
just
Dog. Sorry, I don't mean. Sorry.
No, I mean you could be right. But I think that the cynicism gets to the point where it's like it isn't these people always do it right. It's, well, how long until they fuck up? I think that the benefit of the doubt is gone. CD Projekt Red, though, can't do anything wrong. I agree.
No, they shit gold. I mean, I think the most you can ask for at this point is, to kind of have the Ubisoft model where they're, if they make mistakes, they keep at it and they try and appease. They've done it so many times now. Ghost Recon Wildlands, that game came out and nobody liked it, and that thing's got a huge community now.
Does it really?
It does. Yeah, people play that really consistently. Kevin plays it all the time.
Wow,
cool.
Played every single event they ever had in the.
They added the Predator to that game at one point.
Yeah.
Wow, this has gone completely under my radar. It's like For
Honor.
Honor.
Cyberpunk isn't the second. That's such a good comment. If Cyberpunk isn't the second coming, people will be out for blood. Absolutely.
I think
CD Projekt Red is up against it.
I think
if they don't over deliver, then they're going to get like the second something happens in that game that somebody doesn't like, or if it doesn't have a good narrative, whatever, it's going to get eviscerated.
I guarantee somebody on the internet gave The Witcher 3 a 4. Right? It said you shouldn't buy it.
Enjoy The Witcher 3.
I don't know what
I
The Witcher
didn't
3
enjoy
is,
it.
guys.
I got super bored.
I don't like the combat. And there's a lot of combat.
I'm pretty sure that when Borderlands 3 actually does hit the streets, people are going to dumpster on it hard for it being repetitive in some nature and for having whatever aspects that are things that as Borderlands players we'd love, but as like modern day like hate critics are like, why did they do this garbage? Unbelievable. How could they have been waiting forever?
Hate gets views. Like, I mean, I respect that Anthem has serious fucking issues, and maybe it deserves a 6 out of 10. That's a perfectly valid score, I think, for Anthem right now. But when your review says stuff that is factually inaccurate, like, I mean, did you even play the game? Like, did you play like the first 10 minutes of the game and try and review it? Because like you definitely have like huge inaccuracies in this review. I've seen YouTube and written reviews in publications that are like that about this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also people talking about no end game when it was only like 2-3 days out of early access. It's like, how did you actually make a build with legendaries by then? Yeah, like it's weird. Anyways, we should probably talk about questions, right? Twitter and
sure. Oh, there's one final thing.
Oh, let's get it.
Iron Banners this week.
Oh boy.
What?
Okay, yeah, let's go to Twitter questions.
No thanks.
Icebait says, Professor Broman, how are you always in such a good mood when I watch you? Always a good time.
Man, there's some people that have the exact opposite statement.
So childish. Always angry.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I hear the other side of that too. I always hear this guy complaining. I mean, I just try to be I'm in general a really happy person. I want everyone to be happy, despite what we've talked about on most of the dark topics we've had on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, like when I'm streaming, like I want to make people laugh like a lot. Like it's just I have sticky notes that I have on my thing because I felt like, I mean, like over the past few months, I feel like people have started taking things in gaming and life a lot more seriously than they should.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the big thing that I'm trying to get everyone to focus on. It's all a joke. Like we're all here to have fun. I'm here to make you laugh. And I'll hold that stuff up on the screen like after I have like a serious conversation with somebody who's like a big troll or a piece of shit. It's just LOL smile, man. Like you can't let one horrible asshole ruin the joy that hundreds of other people are having. And that's oh my God. And the new moderator tools have made me like just confirmed this feeling I've had for so long. If you're having a discussion on a serious topic, people will log out of their accounts that they watch you on every day, log into troll accounts because they fucking just care about whatever you're talking about and they disagree with you. And they'll start talking shit on these accounts that they just logged into. Like, you know, I think that there's a lot of assumptions that we make as broadcasters, and one of them is that every voice in your chat is a unique voice. And that's just not true. The other day I was talking about being respectful to one another or something, and then I and so chat was fine for like 5 minutes, and then suddenly all these accounts started showing up out of the blue, all saying the same ignorant shit, and I banned all of them, and then the comments stopped. Because it was just 5 people in chat that were like, oh shit, he's talking about being respectful. Social justice warrior, go fuck yourself. Because they have to say it at every single opportunity that shows up because they're sad people that are broken on the inside, taking it out on someone else. And I understand that because when I was a kid, I did that shit. And I hope better for them, but I can't let that person's horrible behavior that's motivated from a point of pain change the way I act and the joy that I'm trying to bring people. So, you know.
Yeah. I think everyone should get a sticky note and put it by their monitor. So when you still feel yourself getting frustrated, worked up, just look at the LOL smiley face.
LOL smile, dude. You just
mine's a picture of Holtzman.
LOL smile, man.
Doesn't that make you more ranty? Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I need to get a rant on.
I have a note my girlfriend wrote me and hid under my mouse pad before she left, and I didn't find it until I moved the mouse pad.
How long was that?
After she left? 24 hours.
Oh,
after she left.
Wow.
I never moved my mouse pad.
Yeah,
so I would never find it.
I got that big mouse
pad. Ballistic Fire says, with Destiny in its current state, what platform would you say is best for creating content for it? PC. Mixer, Twitch, or Facebook?
Oof.
I heard Facebook is like, do you want to? Well, besides a few people, they like watching Fortnite on Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook's very
what I've heard.
Fortnite centric, BR centric, as is Mixer. I mean, I would say wait to start making content until people want to start watching the game again, and then go somewhere that isn't Twitch. I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like, or if you're fucking if you're a beast at the damn game, come crush it. I think that the skill narrative on Twitch is helping a lot of channels grow right now, and that was not necessarily the case 5 years ago on Twitch. you know, a new BR comes out and it's like there's 5 new superstars overnight because they're the people who were out there slaying it in Apex Legends the first 2 days.
I think these games too, the most entertaining people to watch are the people that are killing it and doing these like crazy ass plays. Like,
oh yeah,
there's something about battle royales that just really, it's just really entertaining to see somebody who's fucking fantastic at it.
It is. It is.
It's exciting, yeah.
Or really bad, like extraordinarily terrible.
I can tell you that is not true.
Shout out to Dizzy. Exactly, chat. See, chat even knows what I'm talking about. I don't understand why people watch streams on Facebook. Don't you have to be like 30 plus? Facebook has 2 billion installed users.
Yeah.
To put perspective on that,
and they're all listening to Russian fake news.
That's 100. That is 100 times more people than broadcast on Twitch annually. So there are a lot of eyeballs on Facebook, and if Facebook or Mixer or another streaming platform execute on their already installed user base properly, Twitch is in trouble.
So I just want to comment.
One thing you said,
I want to comment on platforms, and this really comes down to finding an audience and seeing what sticks for you as a content creator. And you don't know what platform that's going to be, because you just have to have a number of people that are interested in showing up in the same spot to be a part of your streams, essentially. So that sounds like it could be a daunting thing, but if you just suddenly found 100 people that always wanted to show up in your stream, then like that's an immediate boost right there. And if you found that off of Mixer or Facebook or Twitch, then that's a start right there. It's not really about follower count. It's about how many people are actually showing up and wanting to hang out on a consistent basis. And there is no answer on what it should be when it comes to the games, because there could be a void somewhere in Mixer of Destiny content, and the certain people that are coming to Mixer hear your style of content and are like, yes, I like this. I want to show up consistently because this is what it's all about. And then boom, you've started a consistent streaming platform for yourself. So
I wouldn't wait for Destiny. I wouldn't wait for Destiny to get better either. I would start working at it right now and perfecting, like getting better at streaming and getting better at what that means, so that, you know, when it is time for the viewers to come, you're ready for it. Start immediately.
Start making content right now.
Yeah. When there is lulls, it is definitely, I don't know if I want to say easier, but like it opens up more opportunities for people to get seen in the directory. And when there's a lot of exciting content, then on Twitch specifically, more channels get buried, which causes a rich get richer kind of situation when it comes to viewership on Twitch. Like if you stream Apex right now, I mean, there's a bunch of people with thousands of viewers, a bunch of people in that directory with thousands plus viewers in there. So it's difficult to rise up in something like that. Which also, like, I think even though YouTube feels like a seedy, evil place most of the time with how they run it, it still has one of the best like algorithms to get discovered. And I think it's one of the things that I still like about YouTube is that somebody can post a video and it can actually still go viral, even though they are, even though they are, you know, making certain.
As long as there's no bad words or guns.
There is more restrictions today, no doubt about it. But that same scenario on Twitch is way more unlikely than it is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you can piggyback some YouTube content into a Twitch stream and vice versa, that also helps as well.
Ringo the Dingo says we're approaching second before last content drop of D2 year 2, but we still don't know anything about year 3. When do you think it's time to get worried? E3? I don't think we'll find out anything before E3. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Summertime.
Traditionally, we haven't heard anything until then. Anyway,
no. They're going to talk to us about Season of the Drifter. Yeah, they're going to talk to us about Penumbra. Maybe when is Penumbra actually dropping?
I mean, if they're doing a 3-month thing, which is what they've been doing consistently, it would be June.
So that's
March,
probably
April, May, then June, July, August, and then whatever September is.
Yeah, I would expect that E3 will hear something or around that time.
Do you think we're
Or they'll start
if there's going to be something?
Yeah, like
or if they'll start doing it in Penumbra, maybe.
So
start finding.
So here's my biggest thing about this. Like now that they're self-published, I honestly don't think that they're going to force themselves to push out a release for September, unless it's maybe something smaller than Rise of Iron that is like a passover, or maybe a continuation of an annual pass that they're going to advertise. But I honestly don't think that we're going to see the next big iteration.
Yikes.
I know that's a yikes, but at the same
I mega hope you are wrong. The narrative around that would be so awful.
Okay.
I would have such a heckin' concern,
but
if they don't have a big Forsaken level launch,
you think there's going to be another Forsaken in September?
I would hope that is their plan.
I'll be honest. I really think that they're going to take their time with their next launch. Now that they're self-published, I really do, because Destiny is in a
more dangerous position financially than they have ever been, because it is all on them. And if they don't sell whatever is supposed to happen in September, they can't pay salaries.
But if they push out a turd, it's even worse.
They have to have something.
So what if
that's the thing that everybody was like, yay, Bungie's free. But I don't think people realize that, like, with complete freedom, it means it is 100% your responsibility as well. So, like, I mean, yeah, they might want to wait, but, like, is the community going to buy in and purchase another annual pass again? If
I haven't been happy with this annual pass.
If, like, right now the narrative with the annual pass is, I did not, it was Black Armory was, not to mention the big misstep on Niobe Labs with a missing clue in a puzzle, right? So, like, that was a 5 out of 10 at best. We don't know what these next two things are going to happen, but, like, if Season of the Drifter shows up and people don't like it, and then Penumbra comes up and we get another 5 out of 10 situation, people are not going to be buying another annual pass, because they're going to be like, you already tricked me with that pass. I think that the community has come to expect a large update every September. And if they don't deliver it, they better have something, because if whatever they have isn't awesome, I don't think people are going to give them a chance. And I could be completely wrong. I just feel like I've watched the community consume content from Bungie, and whether or not that content was produced by Activision, at the end it doesn't matter. It just has to be good. I think that Black Armory was their chance to prove that this annual pass concept is a good idea, and I don't think that it accomplished that goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe Joker's Wild is going to be that thing, or Season of the Drifter. Maybe Penumbra will be that thing. But whatever is next after that needs to... I feel like, personally, it needs to feel more concrete than another annual pass with multiple seasons of premium content for people to buy.
So, like Tefty said, Tefty mentioned Rise of Iron size content drop. How would you guys feel about that coming? So not a season pass, but a Rise of Iron style, maybe like more traditional DLC content.
A story, an actual
story.
Story.
Yeah, a story, new locations, new maps, new strikes, like a more traditional content drop of what we've expected from.
Yeah.
I think the safe bet would be to release something that has, strikes in it and a new destination and some new storytelling in it. Because that's the thing that isn't happening with this annual pass. Like there isn't a campaign in any of these things, right? Like,
there's no new strikes, there's no new Crucible maps.
Yeah, that's been really disappointing for
me.
New
weapons. I mean, there's the weapons from the Black Armory itself, but we're not getting like a reset on the vendor weapons.
No seasonal refreshes of weapons.
Yeah. So I just really feel like whatever happens after the end of this annual pass needs to be a strong statement about this is our future for the game. And I think that another annual pass would not be well received by the community. And I mean, and that's just talking about the community who is willing to give them benefit of the doubt. I think that game reviewers and everybody who's tearing apart Anthem right now would be their Thanksgiving feast. Like they would slaughter it. And that scares me because I want them to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, I feel you on that too. I mean, I want them to be successful. I just looking at the numbers and adding up like the fact that some of the reasons they pushed out Destiny the way it is has been Activision pressure. And now with Activision pressure out of the picture, how much of that schedule is really going to be adhered to? Because yeah, they do have to pay bills and all that, but I'm sure that they're set up in a certain way with how the game is right now and how success has been, because it is technically a successful game, that they've got some leniency to be able to maybe perfect the content a little bit better this time around. And obviously D3 is coming. It's coming. It's just, are they going to take a year to do some extra polish and maybe just some little live updates with D2 and we have to wait? I mean, I think the franchise is healthy enough at this point that they could take time off a little bit and then come back with a new iteration.
I mean, none of us know the financial situation. Like none of us are the accountants that know how much money they have in their war chest before they have to pull the trigger on something.
Yeah.
And they could have a decent amount of money in there. They're like, oh, well, we have enough money to run the studio for 3 years. So let's just really focus on getting Destiny 3 right. And let's keep doing annual pass stuff. But I just don't like the narrative that shows up when so we have this year of annual pass and another year of annual pass and then another year of annual pass and then like another year of annual pass. And like it's just,
I'm not
Destiny
a fan of that.
thrives so well when it makes big, impactful moments. Like Forsaken was a turning point, and I think that they're gonna need to keep doing that.
So
I guess
Forsaken definitely was a big turning point, but that was because D2 was pushed out so hard and definitely needed more time. So I guess that's where I'm coming from. I think about, with Activision out of the picture, I feel like they're going to be more precious about the releases.
Potentially.
But as a fan, I'd love them to deliver content consistently all the time. Every September, massive update. That'd be great.
I would like a Taken King size release once a month, please.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I think the community would be satisfied with a Taken King sized release twice a year. And I know that's hard, but I feel like if I said, look, for the future of Destiny, every 6 months, we're getting something the size of Taken King. Do you feel satisfied? Because to me, I feel, oh, well, that's ideal. That's enough time for me to master and explore all that content, level my new subclass, experience the story, and get ready for what's next.
Get all the exotics.
Twice a year. Now, I'm not saying that this is here's the thing, and this is I view everything as a business person, which I wish that more gamers would do. Yeah, I understand that there's a lot of difficulties, but when you run a business, your job is to literally overcome the bullshit and make something happen that's impossible. So is the dev time on something like that really long? Cool. So you break into 3 dev teams that have 18-month cycles, so you're always hitting your notes or whatever. I understand that shit's incredibly hard, but if you know what makes the consumer happy, then it's your job to try and structure things to deliver on that as best as you can. I don't think that any business should say, sorry, that's too hard for me. Because that's how you fail.
Totally. But I also don't want them to push out content that's going to kill the franchise also, because they're like, oh,
I completely agree with that too. I just think that it's about finding the medium. It's about finding the point where you can deliver as close as you can to what the consumer expects while not compromising your quality.
Yeah, agreed.
Ultimately, you have to do both. And if you can do both, you have an award-winning franchise that everyone in the world loves. And that's what I want for Destiny. I'm not out here to be like team shit on Destiny. I want to see them win.
Oh yeah, all of us. Of course. We want the most successful version of that game in our hands. Yeah. Right? That's what we all want. I think
we're probably going to be looking at them switching up their content release model, right? The annual pass people haven't been super crazy about, and having to pay upfront for all 3 when you have no idea what's in those 3 is a really rough sell to a lot of people. So I think we'll see a switch up of how they deliver content. It's just about how they switch that up.
Let me get really crazy for you guys. All right. Super wild. Okay.
Okay.
D3 or Destiny Universe Online, whatever the hell, Destiny World, something free to play. Cosmetics being sold for real money.
Fuck yeah. I would play whatever DCUO. Online. Yeah.
Free to play is such like a, I don't know, it's such a coin flip.
Have you seen Apex?
With what you're getting. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've also seen a lot of other shit.
I feel like Anthem should have been free to play, honestly.
I would have felt a lot better about spending.
I wonder financially if that's even possible to have something that big be free to play. I mean, Warframe is free to play, but I think that development studio is much smaller than a Bungie.
Yeah.
So, like, could you like what do you got to do to pimp those microtransactions hard enough to support a Bungie-sized studio?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have like 10 million players, you know, it's the risk reward, you know?
You're not wrong.
Skyline Show says, do you feel that Anthem made the same mistakes that Destiny already did? I'm only saying that since people are 40 hours in and pretty close to max level.
I feel like we covered that.
Yeah.
We definitely
we covered it.
Yes.
Clifton Ampanash, I'm sorry, Ampensaw says, what is it about looter shooter genres that hinder storytelling? I don't think it's the looter shooter so much as it is the shared world that slows up. Because like Borderlands 2 did a looter shooter with a story. I think it's the shared world, having like multiple people in a fire team that kind of hinders the storytelling and how much you can customize a world.
Well, I mean, you can have people in your fire team in Borderlands also. I think it just comes down to the fact that like, I feel like development fatigue must really set in quickly, and then the story has to get like revamped and reshaped to meet like what they're telling also in the gameplay. And I feel like that's just a very difficult thing to have hundreds of people all agree on and get it right.
Mm-hmm.
When they announced that Anthem was going to have Fort Tarsis, which was not going to be a multiplayer arena, similar to it's not going to be like the tower is in Destiny. It's going to be like a single player area where you go do all your story stuff. I'm like, that's brilliant, because now you can do stuff that's story like in like your private setting. So if I make a decision, that can be reflected in my little single player environment inside a multiplayer shooter, right? They didn't really do that. Like I was wondering if they were heading that way with like the guy he's like basically the maintenance guy, or you know, the bureaucrat of Fort Tarsis, and he was talking all the time about, you know, cables and stuff, and then he starts talking about the fountain and getting the fountain running. I'm like, if you don't ever talk to this guy, does your fountain ever get running, or does the game like kind of force you along that path? You know, like, but that's the kind of stuff they could do. I thought they could do with having that single player only zone of Fort Tarsis, but they didn't really capitalize on that.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I remember completing an expedition or something, and it was like, the fountain in the courtyard's working. I'm like, all right. I have no other context. Fountain's there, guys. We're good. Oh, there's also a javelin in the place somewhere, and I can't find it. But apparently I put a javelin in.
Nice.
Yeah.
777 says, "What's your go-to music choice while grinding solo? I personally think metal of any kind enhances the solo grind experience."
Anything with a good beat?
I usually listen to streams. If I'm off not streaming, I'd usually have a stream in the background and just like see what they're doing, hanging out, you know, or like doing the same thing. Streams or podcasts are really nice for grinding stuff. If you're just grinding, you don't have to really listen to anything or pay attention. You're just kind of grinding it out. Podcasts and streams are great for that.
Yeah, agree.
They are good for that. Samoxy Vancouver says, "I always love the stupid questions like the Smurf one. So which question did each one of you think is the stupidest one you've ever had?"
I'm going to default to I would eat Briar.
I didn't hear the question.
Answer was
because, but I'm going to agree with Watts.
The plane crash one? I know. I feel like
just always eat Briar.
I feel like there was something about having hot dogs for fingers or some crap like that, you know. Whatever that, you know. Would you
whatever
have or this rather have?
Whatever led to the banana and mayonnaise sandwich. I don't know what the question was.
That's not one
but it was
thing.
stupid enough to get to that answer.
That's many poor decisions.
Oh my god.
Cheeto says, "Is Choco Taco an ice cream sandwich?"
Everything's a sandwich.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice
Am I a sandwich?
Yes.
Next, yeah.
Oh.
Level 19 CPU says,
sandwich,
"If you had to give up eating either cookies or brownies for the rest of your life, including all desserts that may include your choice,
fuck you. No,
which
brownies.
would you rather live without?" Wait
No.
a minute. Can I change my answer for the stupidest question? Is it too late?
No.
Cookies or brownies? Which one are you giving up?
No.
Brownies are easy to do gluten free.
There you go.
So I'm
Cookies
giving up
aren't?
cookies. Well,
Brownies
I've
are
had
easy
good.
to do in a fun way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brownies are pretty easy. And they're good too. Cookies are easily screwed up for gluten free, so I'm giving up cookies.
Lee is no pro says, "After long discussions, arguments, and debates at work, I need some expertise. Is the proper way to wipe standing up or sitting down?"
Whichever way
We had this
works for
question
you.
before.
We have?
Whichever way works for you. Just for the love of God, don't go back to front. That's the one true sin. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Didn't we say there was someone? I don't know who it was, but they're like, when you stand up, you're just like smushing it all in the butt cheeks. You
Yeah,
don't
because
wanna do
Pope
that.
thought like it meant pooping while standing up, not wiping.
Yeah, you sit. You want to sit down. You want to. I think you want to sit down.
I think it depends on
Sitting
the
down,
situation.
smart.
You're smushing your poop with your butt cheeks.
No,
Look, if you do a squat, then it means you don't have to do either.
Yeah, you're squatting it.
You never have to move from that position. Superior.
My wife, when we first got married, informed me about the stool in front of the toilet. Have you guys heard about this?
Yes.
Like a poop stool or like
Yeah.
an actual stool?
It's a poop stool. Yeah, you put your feet on it while you're pooping, and it raises your knees like way up high.
Oh.
Shit just
Like
slides out.
Like your birth.
It's more natural.
Like you're
because
birthing a
it's more
poop?
natural because then the thing
Better
isn't like
position.
bent at an L. It just like bloop.
Huh.
There's a visual
miracle.
illustration there.
Wow.
That's it for questions. It's late.
Light on questions today. All right.
Oh, we went hard on
Well,
Anthem.
yeah. It's,
we went hard on all the things.
It's almost 2.5
Yeah.
hours on this podcast.
Very true.
Very
long.
true.
Long one.
We had good conversations.
Yeah.
Guys.
Well, thank you all for tuning in this week. Pro Bro.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us your time this week, man.
Thanks
We appreciate
for
it.
having me on.
Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Where can people find you?
You can find me anywhere on the internet at I am Professor Broman. Even YouTube, I got it changed, which is great.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
you must have some clout. God.
What's your stream schedule like?
What's my stream schedule? I'm live every day by noon Eastern. Usually, that's kind of my schedule right now.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to share with us about Guardian Con? You know?
Sure. If you don't know, Guardian Con this year is July 5th and 6th. It is in Orlando, Florida, not Tampa, because we wanted to move it somewhere where it is more affordable for 99.99% of people to fly. I am saying that for the one person who is going to be a shitter about it being more expensive for them. It is at Rosen Shingle Creek. We're actually having the convention in a hotel, so you can book your hotel room and never leave. You can walk downstairs to the convention hall. There's 3 restaurants there. There's golf. Nice. It's like 8 minutes from Disney. The same weekend that we're there, the Halo experience is going to be in Orlando. There is a lot of cool shit you can do. So it's really sort of like an all-in-one place experience this year. So that is awesome. We're going to have dates for the charity marathon for that soon. And I'm excited about that. And yeah, right, that's all I can share. Okay. I can say that if you attended, I'll say this, if you liked what you saw last year with, major developers being involved, I feel like it would be safe for you to assume that major developers would continue to be involved with the event.
That's awesome. Cool.
And it would be a safe assumption if you are someone who drew lines connecting things.
You heard it here first. Borderlands 3 getting announced at Guardian.
Yep, official announcement.
You're insane. Please.
It sounds amazing this year.
It's going to be amazing. A lot easy. It's going to be a much easier experience for anyone who is attending. That was our goal.
I like that it's going to be in the hotel. Like that's
really cool.
Yeah, we had the same amount of convention space as we had before. It's just, as soon as you go out of Tampa or you go to Orlando, which are the biggest destinations for tourism in the world, you get a lot more options. So the event it's just going to be easier, no fucking Ubering around downtown Tampa or Wingstop meetups with 3,000 people showing up. It's all there, and the hotel will be expecting all of us and has the ability to handle that many people. So it'll be good.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will miss that bar across the street from last year's convention. You remember that bar, it was like that little round bar that was outdoors.
Oh yeah.
That was that was fun running.
Yeah, the little outdoor bar is great. Yeah, everything. I mean, but this time the bar will be right there. And there's I almost said something I shouldn't have.
And before he does, we should probably sign off.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to find more of me, I am at Holtzman_YT on Twitter. Still looking for someone at Twitter who can help me get the Holtzman tag, so I don't have to have _YT on my name. The account's been dead since 2009. Please hit me up.
Come on, Twitter. Come
on, please, man. Just help me out here.
It's 10 years. It's a dormant account.
No, it's dead. It's dead. Just let me have it.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me driving a U-Haul truck, helping my mother move.
Nice. All right, awesome. Yeah. I'm Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. Streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. Usually start around 6 p.m. Pacific time.
And I'm Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. And I'm going to be playing a lot of Sekiro.
Yes. What about Devil?
When's that release, Watts? When's that come out?
March
22nd.
Something.
March 22nd.
Yes. That's late in March too.
Yeah, that's a month away.
We're going to Japan.
I gotta finish it before I go to Japan.
I know.
20-hour streams every day.
I'm just gonna play the game in Japanese, no translation. Is it going to be in Japanese? Please tell me it'll be in Japanese.
I'm hoping that there's going to be Japanese
why wouldn't there be,
and English text.
I don't fucking know what's getting.
I really hope.
Activision's behind it or whatever. So yeah, I'm just hoping
they're publishing it.
Yeah, they're publishing it. I'm just hoping that's going to be my Japanese lessons. I'm going to watch anime and play Sekiro without subtitles.
Flawless.
All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.